So welcome to my YouTube channel. That's what we call The Good Life. Today we're going to be talking about all the things you can be sowing in the month of October. Now it's definitely getting a little bit colder, and we've actually had some little light frosts where I am, so the temperatures are definitely changing, so you definitely need to be mindful of what you're planting. But believe it or not, there are actually still quite a few things you can be planting, and I'm going to be planting something new and exciting that I've never grown before, and I can't believe I found it in a garden centre recently. So let's get started, and don't forget to subscribe if you've not already done so, so you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my allotment, my home garden, and from time to time my home kitchen. Now, what can you be starting off in October? Now, one of the things you can be starting off, and I start off most years, you can be starting off some overwintering peas. Now, a really good type of pea is a meteor, and that's a really good type. You must be careful that you make sure that you get peas that you can overwinter, because some of the peas won't last it through the winter. So meteor is a really good type, but check out your garden centres and check some other varieties that might suit you. Also, broad beans are another really good thing you can start off in October. Aquadulse Claudia is one of my favourites, but again, check out your local garden centres. There's lots of different types of varieties. I've started off some really unusual heritage varieties some years, so I normally start mine off in little module trays in my greenhouse. You can start them off in under a clutch. You can use a cold frame. Some people do just pop them straight into the ground, but it does all depend where you are, because if it's particularly cold they will need a little bit of cover. But like I say, I normally start mine off in module trays. With both peas and with broad beans, I normally soak them overnight in water. I drain them, I put them between some wet tissue in a plastic container or a glass container, and as soon as they've sprouted, I then pop them in my module trays or straight in the ground. So that's a really top tip to get really good germination, because they can be a little bit tricky to germinate. Something else you can be starting off, if you've not already done so, are radishes. They're really quick growing. You can start them off, you can put them, you know, in raised beds, into the ground, in little pots. It's really up to you. I started some off just about a month ago, and they are absolutely speeding along. One of the great things about radishes is they do mature very quickly, so it's a good thing that you can start off. These are a very basic type. I've got French breakfast there, but there are some really lovely multicoloured ones, all sorts of different weird and wonderful radishes, so really interesting things to add to your salads and stir fries. Are really simple to grow. There's lettuces you can start off, but again, same thing with like peas. Do be really mindful what lettuces you start off. Winter Density, Arctic King, Winter Gem, Lamb's lettuce, they're all really good hardy lettuces that are worth sourcing if you fancy trying some. And there's also the Oriental varieties. I've got Mustard Streaks. I've got some mixed leaves. I've got, I think it was called like a spicy mix, and these have only been in just over, well, I started them off from seed and then I popped them in, and they're doing really, really well. But these ones here were literally just started off a month ago, doing really, really well. And they're like a mixed bunch of leaves there. I've got some caterpillars there, which I'm going to very, very tactfully remove. Look at those little buggers. So even though it's getting a bit colder, we've still got caterpillars. Best thing to do is to remove them from your plants, because you do not want them munching. I don't mind them munching a little, but I don't want them taking my crop, shall we say. Wild Rocket, another really great one. Once you've sown it, it generally self-seeds and you get it year after year after year. Incredibly easy to grow, very, very tasty and versatile for various dishes. So one that I absolutely love and wouldn't be without. So really the last month to start to be sowing cauliflowers, if you wanted to start some cauliflowers off in module trays. This one is a really good variety, as it says on the tin, the all year round cauliflower, so really great one to try if you wanted to start some cauliflowers off. A lot of people suggest October for doing cauliflowers because they reckon you're less likely to get pests, but who knows. If you want to start cauliflower off, that's definitely one you can be doing. And spring onions, so you can start spring onions off this month. I've got some already started off here that was started off about a month or so ago. What I will say is I generally start my spring onions off in a little pot and then I transplant them, just purely because I never find I get very good germination if I direct sow. So that would be a top tip from me. Now when it comes to other things you can be planting this month, you can be planting bare root fruit bushes like gooseberries, blackcurrants, raspberries, all sorts of like lovely soft fruits that you can source. Red currants you could do. Strawberry plants can still be planted this month, another really good thing to be getting in the ground. If you've not already got some rhubarb, or you want to split your rhubarb, again this month is a fantastic month to be planting or splitting rhubarb. So if you've started any cabbages off, it's a good time to get them in October. If you haven't, you might be able to find some in your garden centres. I went to one recently and there are actually quite a lot of plants there. So it's worth checking out your local garden centres to see what they've got, what you can be popping in this month. Onion sets is something that I generally get in October. There's some lovely varieties out there. Snowball is a really lovely variety that I like to plant. I grew that last year and it was really lovely. You've got the red onion sets. You've got the Japanese onion set, which again I've grown with absolute great success. Something else that I always get in October, if you're going to plant it, is garlic. There's some lovely elephant garlics out there, and I've found a really lovely variety called Mesodrone, which is a really good one to get planted. If you're not sure how to plant garlic, I've got a fantastic video on tips on how to plant. We will put a link up on the screen and one in the description on watching that. Also, lots of people ask about books. Allotment Month by Month by Alan Buckingham is a fantastic book. I will put a link up on the screen and in the description if you'd like to get one of those. So my exciting new crop is saffron. So I went into a garden centre recently and I was really excited to see this. I knew that I had to be really careful that I bought the right one, because I'd watched a programme on TV about it, and I really wanted to grow my own saffron, but I was quite nervous about buying the correct one. So on it does say saffron crocus, and I did check with the garden centre. It's the sativus variety, so if you're not sure, that's it there, and I was quite pleased to find it for £3.99, so not too expensive at all. And the lady in the garden centre was super helpful. Now October is a really good time to get this planted. So you can plant it straight into a border, or you can plant it in your lawns, or you can do what I'm going to do. I'm going to plant it in pots. One of the reasons I'm planting it in a pot is because I want to harvest the saffron and I want them to multiply. If you put them in the lawn, one of the downsides with putting it in the lawn is that you could end up mowing them over, and when the saffron stamens produce, you need to let them mature. So you don't want to be mowing your lawn and then losing your lovely saffron. So I filled this with some multi-purpose mixed with coir, which is what I often do in this pot. And you just pop them into the pot. It's got some little shoots on there. You just leave them on there. That's absolutely fine. They do start to grow quite quickly, I've been told. So I'm quite excited. You're going to have to make sure that you like, comment and definitely subscribe so you see how these are doing. So you just pop them into the soil. They can go quite close together. I've probably got enough in this packet to do a couple of pots. But I'm going to put about 6 or 7 in this pot here, like so. There we go, and I will pop one in the middle like that. So you need to cover it with about 5 to 10 centimetres of soil. So making sure that you don't, as you can see, some of these are shooting already. So that is very exciting. So I'm really looking forward to growing my first saffron. So just sprinkle that over, being careful not to knock the bulbs over. So about 5 to 10 centimetres over the bulbs, so not over the shoots, over the bulbs. It doesn't matter if you cover the shoots, but you're just taking it about 5 or 10 centimetres over the actual bulbs themselves, like so. And just make sure that the compost that you put over it is quite soft. Now I'm going to give this a little bit of a water and get the rest of them planted. So if you're wondering how my allotment plot's doing and you'd like to take a tour around, please check out my link on the screen and also in the description.